Wow, thanks for coming out, guys. Really. You know, it is true. It's almost like a year ago to the month or so that we were up there in Sacramento, and I had the opportunity to testify in favor of a Harvey Milk Day. And you know, I saw the faces of some of the conservatives, some of the Republicans on that panel, and I told the story. I just told my personal story. My personal story probably sounds a lot like y'all's, which was growing up in schools. I went to high school in Salinas, California. The lessons I learned about being gay were that I was less than, that there was something wrong with me, that I was sick, and I was a second-class citizen. That's what you learn. You don't learn anything about any gay or lesbian person of any merit. That's not taught in school. And I told them that day, I said, it took a turn of luck for me to learn about Harvey Milk. It took a turn of luck for me to find a documentary about him, read a book about him, and find out that I did have a forefather who could inspire me. And at that moment, I started to change and I started to excel. And I didn't want to take my life anymore. And you know what? That's going to be the case now for every kid in California, because now we have a Harvey Milk Day because it passed, including one of those Republicans on that panel that day who voted for it. So I really got to thank Equality California for sponsoring this, for Mark Leno, State Senator Mark Leno, for drafting this piece of legislation, for our governor, for flip-flopping. This is the kind of flip-flopping I like. But you know, the truth is now the real work begins. And I don't know, do we have any educators in here? Any teachers? Great. The real work begins, and you know it, because now we got to build that curriculum. On these Harvey Milk Days, we have to build curriculum that teaches, and I got to say, not just about Harvey Milk, but about the other LGBT leaders and founders of this movement who will inspire not just the gay men, but the lesbian, the bisexual children, and the transgender kids out there, to inspire them to excel, and to make sure that they don't ever consider taking their own lives, that they know that their lives have value. And we all know that that's our eventual path to freedom. And I'm so thankful that the state has now created a day where we can get out there, we can share our stories, because that is how minds are changed. And I'll tell you a little bit of something about Harvey. This is what Harvey would do. And it was sort of revolutionary at the time. He would, on Saturdays and Sundays, when he was able to kind of escape from that camera shop that he worked at, sort of, he sort of neglected more than worked at, he would go out and he would go door to door, and not just in the Castro. He would go down to the Excelsior district. And I don't know if you know San Francisco well, but the Excelsior district is a very conservative area, even still. It's not an area that was in favor of LGBT people at all, and this was also a very different time in San Francisco. And he would knock on doors, and he would introduce himself. And the most political thing that he did in those introductions was to say, "Hi, my name is Harvey Bernard Milk, and I'm a gay man." And that was it. That was it. From then on out, the conversation was, "Hey, you know what? I hear you have a trash problem in the Excelsior district. Or you have a crime problem in the Excelsior district." Or when he went to Chinatown, he said, "I heard they won't even put the voting booths in your own language, so you can vote for the candidate you like. What can I do for your community?" And that's how he started building bridges. That was his definition of outreach and education. The outreach was knocking on the door, being open about who he was, and saying, "I want to be a part of your community. I want you to know I care about your community as much as I hope one day you'll care about mine." And that's the work we got to do today. So I'm really hoping you go out there today, you knock on doors, you say, "Hey, I'm a gay person, a lesbian person, bisexual, or transgender, and I care about your neighborhood as well, and what are your needs? What are you worried about? Can I help you take your trash down to the curb today?" Right? Because I'm telling you, that is how we will become a part of this city and these communities, and they will finally start caring about our issues as much as we need to care about theirs, and that is how change happens. Last but not least, you know, Harvey loved birthdays, right? Birthdays were his favorite day of the year. If you've done any reading about him, he would have these lavish parties, and especially starting around 40, when he got to San Francisco, and he got into politics. And his big idea was he would get all his political foes. He would call them up, all the people who had said horrible stuff about him in the press, or had voted against all his favorite bills, and he would invite them down to City Hall, and he'd give them each a cream pie, and he'd say, "Put it in my face." And one after the next, they put a pie in his face, and he loved it, and he celebrated each one like it was his last, because he told everybody, "I'm never going to make it to 50. These are probably my last few birthdays." And the truth is he was assassinated before he even made it to 49. So he didn't make it. But I say thanks to this day of honor we have, and thanks to all of you who are becoming today's Harvey Milks. Harvey Milk, to me, I'm going to start to cry, Harvey Milk to me is still very, very much alive, and he did make it to 50, and today he made it to 80 years old, and I want to say thanks to you, we can all say happy 80th birthday, Mr. Harvey Bernard Milk. Thank you very much.